Okay, this is Jimmy Jive, and you're listening to Motor City Rock Talk. Today, my guest is a singer, songwriter, guitar player for a Metropolitan Detroit band that's been around for quite a number of years, called the Corktown Popes. Today, my guest is Terry Burns. Hey, Terry, how you
Jimmy,
doing?
how's it going, brother?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Well, anyway, Terry, let's start with a little background. Tell me a little bit about where you're from, how you got started in music, some of your influences.
Well, I was born up in Harbor Springs, Michigan, and spent my first 23 years living up north, and moved down to Metro Detroit around 83, I think. Started my first band down here. I'd been in cover bands up north, but started my first band down here. Soon after moving down here, I ran into this guy at Harmony House. Harmony House was new to me. And it was like, never seen so many records, tapes, and whatever in one place before. So met this guy there. He had a drumstick lapel pin on, and I just asked him if he happened to be a drummer, and he said yeah. And the next thing you know, we're in a band together. So,
oh, wow. What was the name of that band?
Last Cavalry. We were Cowpunk, which is the best description I ever heard of us. Was my favorite review of us. And it went, these guys are like Johnny Cash on meth with a hard on.
Well, that's a pretty cool description. Was it fitting? Do you think that was accurate?
Pretty accurate. We played Johnny Cash songs and country songs and a lot of bands that were new back around then. Country Bob and the Blood Farmers and the Beat Farmers and
a lot of
some other names, excuse me. Yeah.
Was that around the time of Goober and the Peas also?
We were about 5 years ahead of Goober and the Peas. So we beat them to the punch.
So tell me, who are some of your influences, though, from the early days that got you to where you are now?
Well, the Beatles were the biggest influence, of course, and the Stones were an influence. The Who was a huge influence. Some of the bands that were around that back then that I would have loved to have been influenced by, but wasn't until later in life, were the Kinks. And the 60s were a great time to be a music fan, and so were the 70s.
Oh, for sure. And
as were the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, you play guitar, right?
I hold an acoustic guitar, and I know some strumming patterns. Wouldn't exactly call it play.
I think you know a little bit more than that from what I can tell. And when did you start, when in your career, so to speak, did you start writing songs?
I started with a cowpunk band, but didn't really get any good at it till probably the mid-90s.
What do you mean by good at it?
I can listen to the old songs, the first songs I wrote now, and see, you shouldn't have done that, or you should have done this different. This could have been arranged a different manner. It's just stuff you learn by doing, But in the mid-90s, I started to write much better in the mid-90s. I think probably because I was playing more guitar in the mid-90s.
Do you play anything other than guitar?
I took some piano lessons for a while, but didn't have the time for it. I'm a busy guy.
So after the Johnny Cash cowpunk thing, what did you get into next? What was that?
That was the all band, early 90s. We were called Pigeonhole. And we had some pretty good gigs. We warmed up for Dirt Pipe just after the date got signed by RCA. We warmed up for the Blue Rodeo. Played a lot of nice shows. And we got some notice from Polygram Records at that point, too. But things kind of fell apart at that point. That was back when Sponge and Eminem and all the other Detroit acts that were getting signed. Detroit got a lot of attention.
And where were you playing at that time? What would have been some of the clubs?
Oh, St. Andrews down in Detroit, or the Blind Pig in Ann Arbor, Lily's 21 in Hamtramck Pub.
Right. So typical East Side kind of scene then.
Yeah.
Other than the Blind Pig, obviously.
Oh, and it was great too, because back then you had music. You could find live music 7 nights a week somewhere.
Yeah.
The club structure is smaller now, not as many live venues.
What were some of the local bands? I mean, you mentioned some national acts that you played with.
Oh, yeah.
Who are some of the local bands that you would have maybe played with or
the Vertical Pillows. My friend Paula used to be with that band. Robb Roy. What were those guys? They were a ska band. Now I think they're the Red Hots.
Okay.
I think they call themselves now. I wish I could remember what their band name was. But they were great. Used to play with Paul Reinhouse's band, Happy Accidents.
Was that the Happy Accidents or Static Alphabet? Or both?
Both.
That was a lot of fun. Those guys were great.
Yeah. I still see Rob Paul every once in a while. He's got a new band called The Bore Out. They're really great. They're a great live act. Paul Reinhouse has a new CD out now called I Drank Ditch Water. There's got to be a story behind that.
Yeah. So that's why he's always got that look on his face.
Yeah, he's always just had a great big bowl of chili.
Yeah.
Man loves his chili.
All right, well, tell us a little bit about when the Corktown Popes started and how that started.
Well, after the fiasco with Polygram back in the mid-90s, I got kind of fed up and with dealing with trying to make things work all the time. I quit music for about 10 years, just stepped away from it. I'd sit on my porch and work on writing songs because I did want to know how to write songs, even if no one ever heard them. And finally, about 14 years ago, thought I finally had something to say again. Called up Jason Kuhn, Corktown Popes guitarist, music director, producer. I know he was very good time. He was in several different bands. Thunderheart Choir was one of them. He had a duo with his then wife. So the surest act of optimism, I rang him up one night thinking he's going to say no, but maybe he knows someone. And I explained, I've got this idea for this rock band that's got an Irish accent to it. Some of the groups, like the Waterboys, Van Morrison. And I said, so you want to start the band with me? And there's an awkward pause. And then all of a sudden, yeah, come in. Wow.
Well, that had to pick you up, get you down. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Got somebody good on board.
Because Jay had done production, Pigeonhole, when we were making scratch tapes back in the mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
And he was with Robb Roy. He was one of the members of Robb Roy. We added my drummer from Last Cavalry, Dave Gunquist, the first drummer I ever had down here. And we added Mike Martin on mandolin from Robb Roy, who had played with Jay. I found our accordion player, odd stroke of fate. I was walking downtown Royal Oak one day, and there's this cat playing acoustic jazz, Brazilian jazz, on a guitar outside of a hair salon. Finished the song, and I walked up to him and I said, man, that sounded great. He goes, well, thank you. And I said, you don't know an accordion player, do you? He reaches into his wallet and pulls out a card and hands it to me. I stick that card in my wallet, and I don't call it for a year and a half. And a year and a half later, we finally had room for an accordion player. The number hasn't been changed, and he's on the phone with me. And it's Paul Goodman. He said, I was in a polka band, just got off the road. I want to spend more time with my wife and kids. And I thought, shoot, we're never going to find an accordion player. And I said, listen, we're going to start recording next week. Come by, lay a couple tracks for us. We'll pay it for it. And he came in, we recorded 3 tracks with him that night. He packed up his accordion, and just before he walked out the door, he said, so when do we do this again? And he's been with us ever since. The great musician, plays keys and accordion. We've had a number of different drummers over the years. Dave Youngquist, Todd Glass, Alex Trajano, Jason Gittinger. Our current drummer is Ron Pangborn, and Ron has played with Matthew Sweet, Sheryl Crow, Was Not Was. He's been around. He's toured internationally. He's a solid guy.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now, you mentioned it a little while ago about your guitar player and someone else, I don't remember who you said it was, that played with Robb Roy.
That was Jason Kuhn, Michael Martin.
Whatever happened to that band? Because they were really popular. I know they changed
did
names
really well.
or something.
Yeah, they did really well, and then by attrition, numbers started dropping off here and there because life got in the way. And
doesn't that always seem to happen? Yeah, because they were a really, really good band. I remember that.
Oh, they had it going on. They had a manager, they had a road crew, but things have a shelf date in music.
Right. Where are the Corktown Popes based out of? But basically Detroit, or are you guys spread out?
Metro Detroit.
Metro Detroit.
Yeah, I'm from Royal Oak. Jay's out in Plymouth. Ron's in Grosse Pointe. Dave Urasek, I'd say he's our bass player, but the rumor is he's nobody's bass player because he's everybody's bass player. Dave's in Berkeley. So we're all in the Metro Detroit area.
And what are some of the places the Corktown Popes would frequent as far as gigs? I mean, are you playing bars? Are you doing festivals? Or both?
Typically we do festivals, but we've warmed up for Rhythm Corps at St. Andrews. We played St. Andrews with other bands a couple of times. We've played Arts Beats and Eats a lot.
Are you doing the one coming up?
No, you know what? We got passed over this year for some reason. It's the first time we've ever applied that we've gotten passed over, but I was told that they've got some company out of Florida hiring the talent now. So when it's out of state, they don't know the local acts. So.
Yeah, unless you got bumped by Cheap Trick. I know this.
Oh, no, we didn't. Trust me, we didn't. I can handle that.
Right.
As long as you let me hold Robin Zander's drink backstage.
There you
I'd be willing to do that.
Well, Terry, the last time we talked, you were going to be doing this show. Can't remember where you said it was.
Yeah.
Where Don was playing with you. How did that go?
It went great. It was a Concert of Colors. I think it's like a 3 or 4 day festival. And we were the closing night, Don on bass and a group of other musicians and singers. Don was Detroit All-Star Review. And we got chosen for a couple songs. It was down at the Detroit Film Theater down by the museum there.
That's right.
Full theater.
When we talked last time, you said you couldn't tell me the songs you were going to do, the Beatles songs. What songs did you end up doing?
That's what blew my mind, is that, Donna's worked with Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones,
Everybody.
B-52s, yeah, and with 3 of the Beatles, George Harrison, Ringo Starr, and Paul McCartney. To be singing a Beatles song with a guy who's worked with 3 of them, I'm still trying to get my mind around it.
Yeah, I bet.
But he played bass and did All You Need Is Love. We did What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding by Elvis Costello, because the theme of the event was peace, love, and understanding.
Had you performed with him before?
Yeah, he's had us 2 other times with him, so I think it's 3 times now. It's a joy every freaking time. The guy's king of Detroit as far as concerned. He doesn't have to come back to Detroit. He comes back because he loves to. He's getting a house here too, so he wants to spend more time in the Detroit area.
Did you guys, or have you guys, as far as the Corktown Popes, had any success as far as CD sales, or do you even do CDs at all, or is it all streaming?
I found that CDs are still marketable, especially if they're sold at your shows. Because even if people don't have a CD player, they'll buy them as a memento. It gives them something to get a signature on, put it on their shelf. And I still have a lot of friends. Personally, I am a CD guy. They're easier to store than vinyl. I like having possession of the music, and the sound quality is better than streaming.
Do you guys do any other kind of merchandise? Do you do like t-shirts?
Yeah, we do t-shirts, CDs. We have bumper stickers for a while. I've got a merch site, because the Popes aren't the only thing I do. I've got a holiday band. We play jazz, rock, and swing holiday song. It's called TV and the Detroit Holiday Rockestra. Got some great musicians on that from Detroit, including Mike Skill from the Romantics plays guitar on one of the tracks.
Now, is that a regular thing you do?
Yeah, every Christmas season. We've done it for like 2 years in a row now.
Do you perform it somewhere, or do you guys?
We perform. This year, I'm doing some charity shows, which I can't go into the details about right now, but believe me, I'll give you a call when I can, because we're just setting up dates and everything right now. Very encouraged about that. It's a 7-piece band. We got 3-piece horn section, bass player, electric guitarist, keyboard player, drummer, and me.
Is it all like traditional Christmas music, or is it more?
It's got a couple of my originals on there.
Oh, okay.
And then got songs that everyone's familiar with, but we jazz them up or rock them up. I'm not gonna say we're like Brian Setzer, because we're not exactly, but it's in that vein.
Rocking around the Christmas tree, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that type of stuff.
That's so cool.
It's fun. We got a video out on YouTube if anyone wants to look it up. It's Blue Christmas TV and the Detroit Holiday Rockestra.
You guys get dressed up for it? Do you put on a Santa?
Oh yeah, no, that was the whole idea behind the thing. Is we wanted to make it a night to dress up. We played in some restaurants where they've had fancy dinners and treated it like a mid-century cocktail party.
That is a real cool idea.
It's fun, man. People leave there smiling. It's really great.
Now, getting back to the Corktown Popes, how did you come up with that name? Is there any significance to that whatsoever?
Corktown was one of the first neighborhoods in Detroit. It was predominantly Irish when it was created. Our music has an Irish thing to it. We wanted to identify with Detroit because everybody loves, the city. So, to be honest with you, I settled on Corktown for the first half of it, and then I just put a bunch of words, wrote them down on different slips of paper, put them in a hat, and kept picking them until I found one I liked. Popes was it.
Is that how it's supposed to work? I thought usually when you did that, the first one you pulled, you went with that.
Usually, people do that, but I made the rules. So.
The rules. Well, it's a very cool name. I get you. Now, as far as recordings, how many recordings do the Corktown Popes have out now?
I think we've only got one that's still in print. We may order more of the others, I'm not sure. The first CD is still available in print. The second CD was a live CD, which had like 15 tracks on it. That was recorded at Callahan's out in Auburn Hills, which was a really great club.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, he got out at the right time, though, because COVID hit not too much longer afterwards. We got the live one, and then we had a second 5-song EP, which I don't know if we're going to put that one back out again or not, because we had thought about adding 4 more songs to it and remastering it. We've got some stuff on tape. I don't want to say on tape.
Right.
Digitally stored right now of new songs that we were working on, but everyone has been so scattered for like the last year that it's been difficult to make time to do this thing. So the folks will still be around for special occasions. I don't know if we're going to do any more recording.
Now, where did you record those? You mentioned the live one at Callahan's. Where did you record the studio album?
Okay, the studio albums were recorded at Jay, our guitarist studio. He does audio-visual production. So he's got a studio in Ferndale called Blend Productions. Anyone who wants to check him out, he's a great producer, and you can find him at blendproductions.com.
Now, you say visual. Does he do video stuff too?
He does the television commercials and
okay.
training videos.
Now, have you guys ever done any videos or anything like that to help promote the band?
Yeah.
Or?
Anyone wants to see any of our videos, we've got some of the live stuff, some actual thought-out studio video stuff. They can go look on YouTube, Corktown Popes. I'd recommend I'm Not Lucky, or Tonight It's Joy, or Cedarville, or Full of the Moon. So yeah, we've got some originals on video, and we've got some covers on videos.
That's very, very cool. Now, that live one that you mentioned from Callahan's, do you still have that? Is that out there somewhere? How did that come out?
The videos are still out there. Love Reign Over Me by The Who is one that gets a lot of views. What else is on there? There's about 3 different from the live show that are really well done videos.
But I mean, did you do an audio from that? Did you do like an audio?
Yeah, we ran audio direct to the board.
Right.
Peter J, the sound guy out at Callahan's at the time, he just digitally downloaded it through his board into a memory card and gave us a memory card at the end of it. And Jay took it back to the studio and mixed it and leveled it.
So is that available? Is that out there somewhere?
I'd like for us to buy some more of that one, run a second printing of it, but right now we don't have any copies of it.
No. Oh, that's too bad. But was that a fairly good representation of the band at the time as far as the sound?
Yeah, definitely. Like, we played with Don 2 weeks ago, and that was probably the best we've ever sounded. But we had Don was on bass, and Louis Resto, who produces it, or not produces, but writes the song, the music portion of M&M stuff.
Wow.
He's the guy that wrote the keyboard part to the big Chrysler commercial song for M&M.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's some high stuff right there.
Oh yeah, we had Dave McMurray on saxophone. He's playing all over the country right now. He's brilliant. Roscoe White on guitar. So it was like we had the best backing band in the world. Is what it felt like up there. Everyone had a good time. That was cool too. Marshall Crenshaw played that night. He did a couple songs.
At what night? The one with Don Was?
Yeah, with Don Was. He was one of the artists that was featured. So I'm sitting backstage across from him, and we're just talking back and forth. It was just a really cool moment. He was one of the first artists I'd heard up north that was nationally famous around the time period in the 80s. And he's from Berkeley. Cool cat.
Yeah, good stuff. I loved his. I've always loved his stuff. And I think he went on to play John Lennon in some kind of Beatles tribute.
He did. He was in a Beatles tribute act. I think it was called Rain.
Yeah, Rain. That's it.
And he was also in the La Bamba movie.
Oh, that's right. He Buddy Holly.
Yeah, I think he was.
Did he tell you what he's doing now, other than just
Still touring with smaller clubs, smaller venues. He's playing out. Sometimes he plays solo. Sometimes he has a couple musicians with him.
But he's not based out of the Detroit area originally, is he?
No, I don't think he is anymore.
No.
I don't think he is anymore. But he does come back to Berkeley every once in a while and say hi.
That's cool. So, what's in the future? What's going on now? You got anything planned? Any shows or?
Like I said, I just did a show with the Reapermen last night. I've got a band. We're not a tribute act. We're more of a celebration of the music of Van Morrison. We play all Van Morrison songs. It's called St. Morrison's Day. I'm going to be working on it right now, a couple more bands where we just take an hour's worth or an hour and a half's worth of someone's music. Just play it because we love it.
So you did doing that kind of stuff too, other than just writing material?
Because, writing comes when it comes.
Right.
You can write every day, but it's not always conducive to what you want to say or saying it the right way. So
Right.
I'm funny that way. I'll take a song and I'll work on it, and then I'll put it away for 5 years. Oh, I've got a song right now. It's probably the best one I've ever written. I started working on it 13 years ago. Having the patience to set it aside, know that it's not working after you've pounded on it for so long, and just realizing, okay, I'm out of ideas for this one, put it aside, hear it with new ears later.
Was that something that, I don't know, lyrically you couldn't quite put together?
Sometimes it's lyrically, sometimes it's the chorus isn't strong enough, or it doesn't work as well with the verse, the form of the verse. I took some art classes down at CCS, and there was this kid from Latvia. He just graduated, he was 23, and he was the instructor. And it was an abstract painting course, and I just didn't understand it. I just didn't understand abstract painting. I busted my butt on this one oil painting. Everyone else was on like painting number 3, and I'm still working on my first one 3 weeks into the course. And he's standing over my shoulder, and he goes, "Hey, that spot right there." And he points out this little 1 by 1 inch piece on the canvas. He goes, "That's very good." And he takes my palette knife and he scrapes it off the canvas. And he says, "But it doesn't work with the rest of it." It taught me the same thing is true about songs. You can have just a killer, one line, but if it doesn't work with the rest of the song, it comes out and you put it aside and save it for something that will work with.
That makes good sense. Now, when you typically write or have written over the years, pretty traditional as far as that, like a, intro, verse, chorus, bridge type of thing?
I'm really not. I'm trying to find different approaches, and sometimes that's what makes my song not work, is I'm trying to make it work in a certain way that normally wouldn't be done.
You're thinking too hard about it, not letting it come.
Thinking too hard about it, you can get too cute. You can get too precious. You have to learn when you're doing that and step away.
Now, when you typically would write these songs, do you do the lyrics first or come up with a little music thing and then try and put lyrics?
Both ways. Sometimes I'll write some lyrics that I think are really good, and then I try and write music around it. Sometimes, sitting around with a guitar and finding a chord progression that sounds nice, or a pattern of strumming that feels good. Then I go to the lyric books and dig out something that would fit.
Now, are any of your lyrics usually inspired by anything like, literature, movies, or, what's going on in the world?
Everything starts out with a feeling, and then you have to put that feeling into words. I'm not really into political music. I figure if you want to be political, be a politician. I've written one love song in my life. The rest is all about stuff going on around me.
One love song? Come on, Gary.
Yeah, all the others are about unrequited love.
Unrequited love. Well,
or getting dumped.
Or getting dumped. Did you ever write anything back in the day about your experiences at Harmony House? Did any of that ever come to play in any way as far as anxiety?
Oh yeah, I know there's at least one song that's got Harmony House in it. I can't remember which one it is, but I do know that there was some stuff about Harmony House. That was you worked there, I worked there, your wife worked there, all the cool kids worked there.
Yeah, at least from time to one time or another.
Right.
That's
true. It was a great job, man.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, like we've said before. For me, it was great, right up to Ticketmaster when that ruined it. I hated Ticketmaster. Evil master.
Yeah.
So, as far as recording, then you don't have anything in the work, because you mentioned you're going to be doing the.
I've got some songs that aren't suitable for the folks. Frankly, that they'll probably be hard to market if I ever get them recorded. It's probably the most personal stuff I've ever written. It has to do with my father having cancer when I was a kid. So they're good songs. I just don't know if there's a market for something that's kind of a downer.
Well, if it's personal, usually people, it's more insightful like that. People can really relate to that, because everybody's had those kind of experiences in their lives and all that.
Yeah.
I think the whole emo thing was stemmed off of that at one time.
Right. I played one of them for a mutual friend of ours who used to work at Harmony House, and she says it's the best song I've ever written that she's heard. I put a lot of stock in her musical judgment, so I hope she's right.
Like I said, if it's personal, is this another one that's taken a long time to write because personal?
Yeah, I've been working on this one for 9 years.
Do you have a lot of songs that take you that long to kind of, put together?
No, some of them come together real quick, and others, they just aren't ready yet. They aren't baked yet.
And as far as the Corktown Popes and the recordings you've done, were those all songs that you had written, or are they ones that were written within the band? Or that kind
one
of
them I had co-written with our mandolin player, Michael Mark. The rest were mine on the first CD. The second CD, I think Jay wrote one. Yeah, he did. Called The Gist. Then I wrote 3 others on that. And the new stuff, he's written one. We were attempting to co-write one, and a bunch of the others are mine. And he's got another on there too. So.
How personal do you feel about your songs? In other words, do you allow the other band members to put much input as far as trusting them, as far as that is?
As far as performing their own parts, I trust them implicitly. Those guys are all talented. They don't need me standing over their shoulders, tell them what chords to play or how to approach the lead. Or generally, when I present a song, it's to the whole band at once. Show them the chord patterns and tell them what kind of feel I'm looking for, and then everyone messes around with it till we've got an edition of it that we like.
So you're not telling the drummer how to play his guitar?
No. I would, first of all, I wouldn't know how to.
Yeah, me either.
Hey, do that diddly 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 diddly.
I need a little bit more cowbell.
Yeah, always need one cowbell.
Has it always been, I mean, from the start of that band, where you write the songs, did they more or less look to you for that, as far as leadership, or were other people
In the
saying,
beginning,
hey,
as we got more comfortable with each other, Jay started presenting songs, and we just got more comfortable bouncing ideas off of each other.
the whole idea of, like you said, the Irish thing, that's, I know that's in your roots, that's in your heritage, but what really drew you to that? Because I know you had other musical influences, we talked before about
I wanted a
placements.
band to be different, and who the hell has an accordion player and an uilleann pipe player and a mandolin player
Yeah,
playing rock music? There were the Popes did that. The Rod Stewart's early stuff and the Faces did that type of stuff, and I really loved that music. It's kind of a folky rock almost, but it's still rock.
and from what I've heard, I can really hear the Van Morrison influence, and I love Van Morrison, but
Yeah.
it's just to kind of zone in on that, so to speak, I guess. Did it come naturally because of the musicians that you got together, or was it something
Yes.
you just always
Yeah.
envisioned?
Everyone's heart was in the same place, and there's a passion with that genre of music that I identify with heavily, especially with the vocals. It allows you to express, our uilleann pipe player Tom Donahue says, it's Celtic soul, and his definition of that is the longing for better times that never were.
Ah, I see. Have you guys gotten any, over the years, with any of the bands, the Last Calvary or Corktown Popes, any kind of radio, like college radio or
Yeah, we had
rough
some college. The Popes have had some college radio airplay. The Popes have had some airplay in Australia, Belgium, some in England. The Popes did a version of Old Lang Syne, and I listened to this podcast, and all of a sudden it's the New Year's Eve version of the podcast, and I hear my name, the Corktown Popes, and Happy New Year. And then he played Old Lang Syne. He's got like 10,000 subscribers, so.
And that's your version? That is so cool, man. Now, as far as, like you said, getting some airplay in Australia and Belgium and all that, have you ever studied into that? Because I know some bands that, go, this and that, blah, 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 and don't come to realize how vastly popular they are in those regions. In other words, to possibly maybe go over there and play a show that they, sponsor. Has that ever come to mind?
Yeah. We've done stuff with Andalisi from Public Radio.
Mm-hmm.
We've done stuff with Doug Podell from Wheels. It's so much different now. They don't really have the budgets that they used to. Yeah.
It's so corporate, too, especially with Podell. It's totally different.
Podell's a great guy. He and Susan are friends of mine. He's a staple in Detroit rock as well.
Well, yeah, it has been forever. All right, brother. Well, again, thanks. Talking to you. It's been great talking to you again. You have a very good night, and we'll talk again.
Be well, James.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Take care.
Well, that was Terry Burns from the Corktown Popes. He's also affiliated with the Van Morrison type of show. It's not quite a tribute, but, it's kind of in that variation. And the Corktown Popes, if you haven't heard them, you need to check them out. They are on Spotify, and I'm sure most of the streaming services. They've got videos, of course, on YouTube. Very eclectic Irish folk rock sounding band. It's very interesting, and it's very well done, very professionally done. He had mentioned some of the players that were in the band, from Robb Roy and all that, which I didn't know, and I know they were tremendous musicians, so that's probably why it stands out so well in my mind, and how good that Corktown Popes are. So that's really cool. Anyway, if you're digging these shows, and I've got some more good ones coming down the line, smash that like button, hit the subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and it just helps shows me there's interest in these interviews. Anyway, with that being said, as I like to say, keep rocking.